Hey, what's up, agents? Welcome back to Real Estate Uncensored. It's Matt Johnson. I've got Coach Hank joining me in a second. We're talking about the SIXcess code and the changes in the markets. Years ago, really up until the last few years, you could kind of be an agent and fly by the seat of your pants. You didn't have to be insanely skilled to get clients. You didn't have to have a lot of tough conversations to get them to agree to let you show them a house, or even sometimes to let you list their house for sale, right? You didn't have to be insanely skilled at these sales conversations, objection handling, and all this stuff to get clients. Well, now you do, right? The market has shifted. Conversations are getting tougher. You're going to have to get more skilled in the conversations that you're having, the objections that you're able to handle, and the way that you handle them, and all this stuff, right? There are more skills and higher level skills that need to be built if you want to succeed in this market we're in right now. So that's the topic of today. We're going to jump in with Coach Hank, and we'll see you on the other side.
The SIXcess code. Obviously, by where I have this tattooed on my body, it's a core component of everything else that we're going to build on. Now, depending on when you're watching this, we're moving into a time where it's a shifting market, and we're in a place where we have to go back to skill sets that we had, because let's face it, in the last couple of years, real estate has been such where we've had low interest rates and it's been pretty easy, and we need to roll up our sleeves and dust off some old skill sets. So we're going to talk about, by now you should have heard about the one sheet and what it is that is your plan of action to get to that next pillar post. So for many of you, knowing my math, if you got 2 listings a month every single month, you really don't have anything to worry about from a cash flow standpoint, and your food, shelter, and water is taken care of. So let's go back to securing that, and let's say that it is, hey, Hank, I don't need to worry about my team. I don't need to be worrying about all the other things. I just need to go back and get 2 listings a month. So let's go back and look at the SIXcess code on how we're going to attack that. Well, let's look at skill set. Are there any skill sets that we need to brush up on? Do we know the forms? Do we know how to do the MLS? Do we need to take over the transaction management from a cash flow standpoint and just really hunker down? Or do we need to look at, hey, when we were getting listings, what was it that we were doing versus come list me's, which you've probably had for some time, but now that things have dried up a little bit, what are the skill sets that you need to dust off? I was big on expired listings, for example. So I might need to go back and say, okay, what were all the things that I was doing when I was taking expired listings? What were the mailers? What were the communication types? Let's go dust off those skill sets that we have in there and sharpen them up a little bit. Once we identify those skill sets, we want to look at, okay, what is the time on task? What is the math that we're looking at to do this? Because most people have been flying by the seat of their pants and they could get away with it. I have a saying, when it gets easy, we get lazy. We're not in the market where we can be lazy now. So let's get purposeful on what is the time on task that we're looking to spend. So let's say that we have a goal of getting 2 listings a month. Let's break that down. How many hours a week are we going to hold accountable to going and getting those listings? Because here's what I believe to be true. If you have 2 appointments a day in your schedule, that's 2 appointments a day, 10 listings a week, and you hold those times accountable for outcomes, there's no way that you're not getting your 2 listings. So let's look at the 2 appointments a day. Obviously, we'd love to be in front of a seller as our appointment. But if we're not in front of the seller, one of the things that we might choose to do is practice our listing presentation. Now think about this. We go out and we go on a $300,000 listing. There's a $10,000 commission on the line, and we're not practicing. I remember talking to a pro athlete, and they practice way more than they play. It would sound ridiculous the amount of time that we don't work on our skill set to a professional, yet we're making as much as a lot of professional athletes. So what are the skill sets that you need to hone in on? So if you don't have a listing presentation to give, maybe you're scripting and role playing to sharpen that act so that when you do go on that listing appointment, you're fresh. And you have a listing coming up at the end of the week. So one of the skill sets you might work on is, what's the scenario of this seller? Well, the scenario is they are married 7 years, they have 3 kids, and the husband's getting ready to relocate. You better be good at your scripts with that, because chances are their marriage isn't awesome. Chances are they're not going to be able, how they're going to set the listing price is based on what they need, not necessarily what the market's going to demand. So we got to look at, hey, I get that you need $300,000 in order to sell, The market's telling us 275, and I know you're saying you can't afford to sell at 275, yet can you afford a divorce? Now think about that. If someone's 7 years married, 3 kids under the age of 7, and the husband's getting ready to relocate and the wife is going to be staying there and trying to manage the house, trying to wrangle the kids, is there a good chance that their marriage isn't, awesome? Yeah. Now, this is where you've got to work on your skill set to be skilled enough in order to have those conversations so that they don't throw you out. Because a lot of times what we need to do is we need to push on the pain and push on the right pain to show them that they have a bigger problem. Because oftentimes what sellers are trying to do is solve the problem at the level that they know. So let me ask you this. Do you or have you worked on the skill sets that we're going to need moving into this next market? I think a lot of us need to go back to the basics on what it is to script and role play, what it is to handle price objections, what it is to prospect. Typically when I would get a listing, I would knock 10 doors to the right, 10 doors to the left. Maybe you got to look at skill sets that you've forgotten about doing because you've gotten away with not doing them, because at least in the last couple of years, if you took a listing, you didn't have to market it. So do we need to go back and brush off what are those marketing techniques that we did when we carried a listing? What does it look like to list a home on, we got to have pictures by Tuesday so that we can list it on Friday, so that we can have the open house on Sunday. And we have the open house on Sunday knowing that we can drive the traffic because it's going to generate other leads. Here's what I want you to thinking about when it comes to the success code is, what is the success code of today's market? What are the skill sets that we haven't used in quite some time we need to dust off and go get some time on task and experimentation so we can get some victories? Here's what I love about the market that we're going into. The skill sets that are going to matter, most of the agents in the market, they just don't have. They don't know what it's like to carry a listing for 6 months. They don't know what it's like to look at a listing as an expense. And now you're interviewing the seller as much as they're interviewing you. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that I knew that when I took on a listing, I was going to have to carry that as $1,000 expense and know that it was going to take 3 to 4 months. So what is your skill set when it comes to cash flow management? Do you know what it's like where a client comes on and you're not getting paid in 30 days? Do you have the skill sets where you got to manage a number of clients because when a client comes on, it's going to be on an average of 6 months to get paid? These are the skill sets that we're talking about that you might have even forgotten about over the last 4 or 5 years because it got easy and we got lazy. So here's an exercise that I want you to do. Go back to when you were a first and second year agent and ask yourself, what were you doing? What were you doing to go and get listings? What were you doing to communicate with your clients? Because the more we can go back and sharpen those skill sets, the better off we're going to be for this market that we're moving into. And I don't know about you, we should be excited. Coaching matters. Again, that's why I'm super excited about the Net Life movement right now, is because I'm a skilled sailor. I've been through these seas. I started in 2006 in Michigan when, the joke was, hey, last one out of Michigan, turn the lights off. And the reality was I had a lot of success, and here's why. I didn't know any better. I went and got the skill set of working open houses. I got the skill set of calling for sale by owners. I got the skill set of calling expireds. I got the skill set of working. Some of you might have to work again, and you might have to get the skill set of what it's like to go work, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10-hour days. Now, I know that we're coaching to a net life, but in order to have a net life, what we have to do is we have to secure food, shelter, and water. And that's phase 1 of the success code. What do we got to do to secure food, shelter, and water? And as we secure food, shelter, and water, and we get better at doing the expired listings, let's face it, we're going to have a lot more expired listings in this market that we're moving into. And when we look, if we can get these skill sets in place, there's huge opportunities to be able to share that skill set. Now, many of you are looking to get out of just transactional business of real estate. So let's look at, you're either preparing for your next opportunity or robbing yourself from it based on the choices that you make. Slow down to speed up. As you're dusting off the skill sets of doing expired listings, put it together as if you're going to show other people. And here's what I know to be true. In the phase one of this skill set, you're doing it by yourself. And phase two, if we bring other people along and we share how to take expired listings, you're actually going to do better if you are showing other people how to do it. Now, as you show other people how to do it, there's another layer of benefit from doing that. Maybe you're an EXP and you're looking at agent attraction. That's something that we can use. If you can go and have some quick success on doing expireds, sharing that with other agents, that's a way that we can work on the skill set of agent attraction, time on task, experimentation. Here's what I need from you in this program. I need for you to move to a conscious competence with the skill set, because we need to know where we are in the roadmap, and we need to be able to understand, hey, where do we need skill set, or where do we just need time on task? A lot of people have lacked patience. Why? Because we've been spoiled in this last market of getting success pretty quickly. We might have the skill set that we need, but we need the time on task, and we need to recognize where we're falling short in the skill set. Because I love this question right here. What is it that we don't achieve if we continue doing what we're doing? And for a lot of us, if we identify the right skill set in the activities, we're going to achieve everything that we want to achieve, but we need patience in order to get enough experimentation, enough victories, and enough confidence. And we need to know where we are in the success code so we don't panic. Many of you do not lack urgency. You lack patience for the success code to take root. And when the success code takes root, I can promise you this, you'll never have to go back to that panic mode, because by knowing the success code, we're going to take you out of just having transactional real estate, and we're going to move you into recurring income or leveraged income, which will help us the next time we need to make a pivot. We won't have to be worried about finances. There's a good chance that if you signed up for this, you're tired of worrying about finances, and we can solve that by slowing down to speed up, building a relationship-based business, building a skill set so deep where all you have to do is, if you choose you need to increase something, you know exactly what it's going to take, you know the math behind it, and all we got to do is put it in our schedule. I can promise you this, hang with us for the next 12 months. You will have the confidence to weather any storm that's going to be coming moving forward. Hang with us for the next 5 years, the next 10 years. You'll be in a spot where you're never worried about cash flow again. You got plenty of wealth, and you'll have that net life. Know this, we might go backwards before we go forwards, but I can promise you we can solve this problem inevitably for the last time.
So there you have it. That was Coach Hank on the SIXcess code and the skills you need to be building right now. If you like what you heard, do me a favor, do yourself a favor, actually. Go hit subscribe on YouTube. And if you want the audio downloads on your smartphone automatically every single time we put out a new episode, which is every week on Thursdays, go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you like to listen to your podcast and hit follow. That way you get the latest episodes. You can also connect with me on Facebook.com/GetMicroFamous. You can connect with Hank. Just search Coach Hank Aving. Super easy to find. Send us questions. That's how we decide what to cover on the show. So if you have anything you want us to cover, any direct questions you want us to answer, shoot those over by Facebook message. We will respond to every single one, and we'll see you on the next episode.